Wall Street. Today, Wall Street is a towering canyon of steel, glass, and digital algorithms. It is the financial nervous system of global capitalism, where trillions of dollars change hands at the speed of light. But the origins of this legendary street are far more humble, gritty, and dangerous than the pristine trading floors of the modern era. The birth of Wall Street is a story of geopolitical rivalry, military defense, desperate financial crises, and a group of 24 men meeting under a tree to change the course of human history. The transformation of Wall Street from a physical barrier into a global financial engine occurred in three major historical phases. First, the physical wall, built from 1653 to 1699. This was constructed by the Dutch to protect New Amsterdam from external invasions, and it permanently defined the geography of Lower Manhattan. Second, the informal market, spanning from 1700 to 1791. This marked the transition of the street into a bustling merchant hub, slave market, and unregulated trading post for commodities and early government debt. Finally, the Buttonwood Revolution of 1792, which established America's first formal financial system under Alexander Hamilton, culminating in the Buttonwood Agreement, which created the foundation of the New York Stock Exchange. In the early 17th century, the tip of Manhattan Island was a remote, muddy outpost of the Dutch Empire known as New Amsterdam. Managed by the Dutch West India Company, the colony was primarily a fur trading hub. By 1653, geopolitical tensions were boiling over. The Dutch Republic was locked in the First Anglo-Dutch War with Great Britain. Rumors swirled that English colonists from New England, allied with local Native American tribes, were marching south to wipe New Amsterdam off the map. To protect the vulnerable settlement, the autocratic Director General of the colony, Peter Stuyvesant, ordered the immediate construction of a massive defensive barrier across the northern border of the town. The structure was a 12-foot-high palisade constructed of thick, sharpened oak logs, reinforced by earthworks and stone bastions. The cost of construction was paid for using emergency taxes levied on the reluctant citizens of the colony. The dirt path running directly alongside the interior of this defensive barrier was named de Valstraat, which literally translates to the Wall Street. Though the wall was never actually tested by a military siege, it permanently shaped the geography of Manhattan. It restricted the growth of the city, forcing businesses, residences, and taverns to pack tightly south of the barrier. In 1664, the English sailed warships into the harbor. Realizing he was outgunned, Stuyvesant surrendered the colony without firing a shot. New Amsterdam was renamed New York. By 1699, the English colonial government realized the wooden wall was rotting, obsolete, and preventing the northward expansion of the growing city. They ordered it torn down, using the salvaged timber to help construct a new city hall at the corner of Wall Street and Nassau Street. The physical wall was gone, but the name stuck. With the physical barrier removed, Wall Street quickly evolved into one of the most important commercial arteries in colonial America. Because of its proximity to the East River docks, the street became a natural gathering place for merchants, shippers, traders, and auctioneers. It is also impossible to discuss the birth of Wall Street without addressing its darkest chapter. In 1711, the New York City Common Council established Wall Street as the city's official, centralized market for the sale and rental of enslaved Africans. For over 50 years, a wooden market structure stood at the corner of Wall Street and the East River. Here, human beings were bought, sold, and leased as property alongside commodities like flour, tobacco, and sugar. The capital generated from this human traffic played an undeniable role in fueling the early economic growth of New York. During this colonial era, there was no such thing as a stock market. If a merchant wanted to raise money for a shipping voyage, they would sell shares in the venture informally at local coffee houses. Trading was chaotic, unregulated, and plagued by currency instability. Merchants had to deal with a confusing mix of British pounds, Spanish dollars, Dutch guilders, and highly unreliable paper currencies printed by individual colonies. The American Revolutionary War, which lasted from 1775 to 1783, ground this local trade to a halt, but it set the stage for a financial revolution that would transform Wall Street from a regional marketplace into a national powerhouse. Following the end of the Revolutionary War, the newly formed United States was on the verge of financial collapse. The Continental Congress and individual states had borrowed massive amounts of money to fund the war, issuing a dizzying array of war bonds, IOUs, and paper currencies that were now virtually worthless. In 1790, President George Washington appointed Alexander Hamilton as the nation's first Secretary of the Treasury. Hamilton, a brilliant financial theorist, understood that if the United States wanted to be taken seriously by global powers, it had to establish flawless credit. Hamilton's Funding Act of 1790 was a stroke of genius. He proposed that the federal government assume all state war debts and consolidate them with federal war debts into a single national debt of $80 million. This consolidated national debt was issued as new government, interest-bearing bonds. Suddenly, Wall Street had its very first standardized, reliable financial instrument: $80 million worth of United States government bonds. These new government bonds, along with shares in the newly created Bank of the United States, triggered an unprecedented investing frenzy. For the first time, ordinary citizens, merchants, and wealthy elites rushed to buy securities, hoping to flip them for quick profits. With no formal rules, trading was wild and highly volatile. Speculators gathered on street corners, shouting prices in the mud. This speculative bubble was driven to its breaking point by a man named William Dewar, a wealthy former Assistant Treasury Secretary and close associate of Hamilton. Dewar attempted to corner the market on the newly issued stock of the Bank of New York. He borrowed staggering sums of money from banks, wealthy associates, and ordinary shopkeepers, betting that the stock price would rise indefinitely. But in March 1792, Dewar's credit ran out. He defaulted on his loans, sending shockwaves through the financial system. Asset prices plummeted overnight. Panic swept through the streets of New York as businesses went bankrupt and lenders called in their debts. Dewar was thrown into a debtor's prison, where he eventually died, and Wall Street lay in ruins. The young nation's financial system was on the verge of dying in its infancy. Investors realized that if they didn't bring order, transparency, and trust to the market, speculation would destroy the American economy. Recognizing the urgent need for structure, a group of prominent New York merchants and brokers decided to take action. They wanted to eliminate the chaotic, unregulated public auctions that had allowed manipulators like William Dewar to exploit the system. On May 17, 1792, 24 brokers gathered outside of number 68 Wall Street. They met in the shade of a large, sprawling buttonwood tree, similar to a sycamore tree, that stood in front of the building. There, they drafted and signed a brief, 80-word document that changed the history of finance forever. This document became known as the Buttonwood Agreement. The agreement established two revolutionary principles that laid the groundwork for modern stock exchanges. First, the commission minimum. The brokers agreed to charge their clients a flat, standardized commission of at least 0.25% on all transactions. This eliminated cutthroat price wars among brokers. Second, exclusivity. The signers pledged to trade only with each other, completely bypassing the unregulated public auctioneers. This created a highly exclusive, trusted network of verified brokers. These pioneering men represented the founding families of American finance, including names like Leonard Bleecker, Hugh Smith, Bernard Hart, Alexander Zuntz, and Charles McEvers. By restricting trade to themselves, these 24 men established a monopoly on the purchase and sale of public securities, creating the direct institutional ancestor of the New York Stock Exchange. The Tontine was much more than a place to buy a cup of coffee. It was a bustling, multi-story business exchange. It housed a grand trading salon, a bar, a register of ship arrivals, and reading rooms stocked with the latest newspapers from Europe and other American ports. The environment was noisy, chaotic, and filled with tobacco smoke. Ship captains, merchants, politicians, and brokers yelled orders over mugs of ale and coffee. Within these walls, the volume of trading expanded rapidly. Brokers began trading not just government bonds, but also stocks in insurance companies, canal developers, and early turnpike construction firms. As the American economy entered the 19th century, the scale of business outgrew the informal tontine setup. The brokers wanted an even cleaner, quieter, and more structured environment, modeled after the highly organized London Stock Exchange. In March 1817, the brokers drafted a formal constitution, officially renaming themselves the New York Stock and Exchange Board. They rented a quiet, dedicated room at 40 Wall Street, instituted strict rules of conduct, and began holding daily, quiet morning and afternoon trading sessions. The modern era of Wall Street had officially arrived. The history of Wall Street is a testament to the power of human institutional design. What began in 1653 as a crude wooden wall designed to keep out invaders ended up defining the physical space where the world's most powerful financial market would take root. The crisis of 1792 could have destroyed early American capitalism. Instead, it forced the creation of a structured, self-governing community of brokers. By establishing trust, standardization, and rules in the shade of a buttonwood tree, those 24 original brokers constructed the financial launchpad that would fund the canals, the transcontinental railroads, the Industrial Revolution, and ultimately, the modern global economy. If you enjoyed this content, please press the subscribe button. Until next time, thanks for watching.